Yeah, that's
Or I can cancel her. You know, it only costs $10 today. Tomorrow, it's not
especially from Pleasantview. Especially if you've been around Pleasantview a while.
Last year was $700, so it's really not.
Okay.
But I need to know by Monday.
I'm doing good. How are you
Otherwise,
doing?
it's zero by tomorrow. $10 today.
I just met you. I've known your parents for a long time.
Oh, yeah?
I haven't met you.
Thanks, Sarah. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Sorry about that.
It is going to be a lot of fun, though. I'm kind of excited.
Oh, it would be
You
fun.
know, your wife just said she babysat some of our kids when I was
Okay.
by Green Acres.
Oh, did you live to ask? Everybody always knows my father-in-law.
Yeah. Oh, who's your phone?
Oh, this is our audio and video from our first transportation.
Oh, awesome.
I tried to email it to you, and it was like too big, and then I'm like, I'll just put out posture.
Special flash.
Is that
I
what
got
you
a flash
said?
dive delivery.
Is that what you sound?
No, I'll go through what I sent over. In your house.
1 minute
Oh,
till
he
show.
isn't here.
That reminds me, though, I have a big math file.
Calling in? What's Ann doing calling in too?
She's
Out of town for work.
Rollins in Wyoming.
No, man.
I know, it's just all of us.
Don't be jealous, man.
Smiling.
Rollins.
She hears. Kevin, we have room up here.
All right, I have 6 o'clock. Are we recording? All right, I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Pleasantview City Council this January 11th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Welcome, everybody. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, opening prayer reading or expression of thoughts by Councilmember Marriott.
Yeah, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll offer a prayer. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful this evening for the opportunity we have to be together here as public servants and citizens of Pleasantview. We're grateful for the blessings of freedom and to be able to live in this community, and for the great people that we serve and that live here in Pleasantview. We pray that Thou would be mindful of our activities tonight and inspire and help us to make good and wise choices to help our city to be safe and a good place to live. We're grateful for our council. We're grateful for those that have served and those that will be serving, and we pray that Thy blessings would be upon their families. And we especially pray tonight that Thou would watch over the law enforcement and our first responders in this community, and we pray that They'll help us to be safe and protected. These things we pray for and do in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, next is declaration of conflicts of interest. Has council members had a chance to review the agenda? Are there any conflicts to declare? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to comments or questions for the mayor and council. Any member of the public have any?
Quick question, this is probably for the mayor, not the council.
Just state your name again.
It's, sorry, I keep forgetting.
I mean, we know it, but
I know.
got to be on the.
Derek Draper, live in 400 West. I believe it'd be more for the mayor, and that is, it's not in our city, but 2700 North, the I-15 coming off, the exit and on-ramp, you know, that's a big mess, for lack of words. I know you sit on councils with other mayors and things. They're putting that big old 650 housing mess down there, and then they're going to throw stores and all this stuff down there. That's going to be more of a mess for us who live here trying to get home. And so I'm just kind of wondering if that's been brought up in any of your meetings, or if that's being addressed yet, because as it proceeds, we're going to be way behind. Like, it's already a mess to get off. You know, you come at the 5 o'clock and you're on the highway waiting in line to get off. Whereas once they put that there, we're going to be more of a mess. So that's not our city. It's more of kind of
It's a gateway to our city, though.
Yeah,
So.
and so that's all. I just wondered if that's being, you have a voice is what I'm trying to get at, I guess, and more.
Yeah,
so than
I sit on the Transcom committee, and originally they were supposed to totally redo that intersection and make it a spewy type thing, kind of like Layton.
Yeah.
And as messed up as that is, and they decided to put that on hold. I will check and see if I can at my next Transcom, because I do sit on the transportation committee for.
Gonna see what I'm getting at, though.
Yeah,
I think if it waits till it happens,
yeah,
because everyone's gonna wait, and then all of a sudden it's gonna happen, and everyone's gonna go. And then it's gonna. I mean, that's how government works.
That's how. UDOT may or may not work that way.
I hear you. That's all for now.
Thank you. All righty. Anybody else? All right. Seeing none, we'll move to the consent item. Bills of Pleasant View City.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the bills for Pleasant View City.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Marriott, second by Yuri. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Is that an aye, Ann? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. That was a thumbs up. That's as good as an aye. Yeah. All right. Now the business item. First item is swear in and welcome the new elected city council members, which is one. Steve, did Steve come in and was he sworn? Okay, he was sworn prior. He's out of town on business, I believe, and is sad to miss it. Once again, I'm going to do this time, because I don't know a whole lot about film here. Is it a Bill?
Bill's
Okay.
great.
I'm going to let him introduce himself, tell us a little bit about himself, and then we're going to swear him in. Does that sound good?
Sounds great. So,
I don't have a bio to read or anything.
yeah, no, it's good. Phil Nelson, 38 years old, born and raised since fourth grade in Pleasant View. So been around here. Currently, we're up on 175 West, kind of northeast of the fire station. My parents, Kevin and Karen Nelson, live in Pleasant View as well. And I'm an attorney by trade. I'm a college professor, and I have a couple businesses that I run. Got 3 kids. My wife, Paige, who's here. And yeah, I don't have a lot more interesting about me, but I'm excited to orient myself on the city council. We'll figure it out as we go along. So
Awesome. That's great. He ran a tough battle for.
Yep. Highly contested election.
No, it's good to have you here. It's good to have that kind of experience, and especially a kind of a homegrown. So that's awesome. So without further ado, why don't we have you come down front here, and if somebody wants to take a picture, now's the time to do it. Sarah will do one for our. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Too late. You can. And just repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
Solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge
and that I will discharge
the duties of my office with fidelity.
the duties of my office with fidelity.
You want to sign this? Or maybe just right here. I'll be flatter.
Kevin, come on up. Full family, everybody up.
Get a picture of you. You got to get a scrapbook going or something. You know? That's.
Okay, ready, 1, 2, 3.
If you'll be clapping
Welcome,
a
Phil.
year from now, we'll see.
And I have been sworn in also. By law, I have to come in on the first day of the new year to.
Pretend.
No, I'm good. We got pictures when I was sworn in that day, so I think my wife took a picture. I don't know.
I'll text her and say send it.
Well, welcome. Also like to we'd like to invite the Baileys back next week or next time, 2 weeks from now, when the rest of the council's here. That would be if you're available that day. We would love to have you come back. Awesome.
Grandpa's calling.
All righty. Without further ado, then we'll move on to item 2, which is present the audit report for the year ending June 2021. Katie from Woods, Richards and Associates. Yes, please. So it's on the.
Hello, I am Katie from Child Richards. And as much as I love auditing and accounting, I understand not everyone else does. So I'll try to make this concise and easy to understand. But let me know if you have any questions. I'll stop every once in a while.
Thank you.
For questions. So in front of you are the packets for the audit that we did. I actually want to start with the 2-page paper that was on top. That's our communication with governance letter. There's just a couple of things on this one that I like to point out. In the first page there, kind of towards the bottom, the indented paragraph, you'll see the estimates amount. This is just talking about how sometimes when it comes to depreciated lives for fixed assets, we don't actually know the amount of years something's going to last. So there's sometimes differences on books with gains and losses because of that. So that's one of the big things that I like to point out. The other thing is just under that, the difficulties encountered with the performance of the audit. I always like to say, when it is true, that I had no issues with management when I was doing this. Lori was amazing to work with and on top of sending me everything when I asked for it. So it was great working with her. The other thing that I like to point out is that there were no findings in this audit at all, which is a rare occasion, especially for larger cities. So that's another thing to pat yourselves on the back for. So if we want to just flip into the book, we'll just go straight to the first page, number 1. So towards the bottom of the page, there's an opinions paragraph. This one is just noting that in all material respects that we find that there were nothing wrong with the financial statements. It's an unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion that you can get in an audit. So everything that we were able to look through our samples and test work and whatnot provided a clear thing that we weren't seeing anything material in differences there. So we're just going to flip pretty much all the way to the back. It's page 50 that we're going to go to. So on page 50, you will see the general fund budget to actual amounts. You'll see the original budget that was done towards the end of the year before the fiscal year started, and then the one that was amended towards the end of the actual fiscal year. And so we're talking about July of 20 to June of 21 is what we're looking at for the fiscal year. And then the next column over, you'll see an actual column. This is the amount of revenue that actually came in compared to what was on the final budget. And then you'll see a variance in the column that's over. So all of the numbers that are positive show that you actually had more income come in that section compared to what was budgeted, and the negatives are showing that there wasn't actually as much as what was budgeted. Overall, if you look at the bottom, you'll see that there was more revenue that came in actually than what was budgeted, which is a great thing. One of the main things here is that the COVID money, the CARES grant money that came in, was in this, and so more money came in than what was originally anticipated for the year because of that. Otherwise, everything else was pretty much very similar and close to what it was thought would come in. And if you flip to just the next page, that's the expenditures. Normally something that is a little more important to the people of the city is how much is actually spent. It's the same format for all of it. So you'll see in the last column the variances. Yet again, there was nothing that was actually spent that went over budget, which is great. There were no deficits in budget, which is also kind of more a rare thing that we see in cities. And overall, there was a less by about $500,000 of what was spent actually than what was budgeted, which is good. It's a little leeway that you can do with kind of transfers into different funds in the future. Any questions on any of that?
Is the CARES Act money, is that under the miscellaneous revenue?
Yes, it is.
Makes sense.
And then just a few more pages back on page 56. So these are the governmental funds that are non-major funds. This is the park development and the city hall funds. These are very, very small funds. There's not a lot that go through them. This is what would be considered like the income statement if you're thinking business-wise. It just has different names for governments. For both of them, there was pretty much a net income, a surplus of money that came in, and both of them received a transfer of funds from the general fund, which means that it just has a little bit more money in there in case you have something that comes up with either of these funds in the future. All right, we are going to switch towards the front of the book again. So if you go to page 15. So these funds are the rest of the general funds, the governmental funds. So the difference between them is the governmental funds are what you would think of as, obviously roads, capitals, equipment, that kind of stuff. The business funds are your water, sewer, solid waste, that kind of stuff. And accounting wise, they're very different when you're looking at them. So if you're looking at this page, this is the income statement pretty much for all of the rest of the governmental funds. The only one that we saw that there was a negative, so more of an expenditures out of it than any of the other funds, was the equipment fund. There's just more equipment bought, leases. There's always a renew of leases done within this fund. There was also a lot of land purchase. Some of it was in here, most of it was in the business funds that we saw. There was, you also can see that there were transfers done out of the general fund. If you look in the general fund column towards the bottom, most of that, like I said, was in the city hall and the parks fund, but there were also just some money that was sent into one of the business funds for all of that. So down at the bottom, you'll see the ending for the fund balances for the year. So you have a good amount of money sitting kind of in all of the funds if anything needs to be done for any of those funds. And if you flip 2 pages forward to page 13, you'll see in the bottom section, there's the fund balances. This breaks out what is restricted and not restricted for the funds. Most of it is restricted for either Class C roads or redevelopment, city hall, that kind of stuff. There is some unassigned, which means this is the flexible money that you have for whatever needs to be done for the city. I just like to point out that in the general column for the unassigned and unspendables, these two amounts are supposed to be 35% or less of the amount of revenue that comes in for the general fund, and you're sitting at 24%. So you're solid and doing really well with the amount that's there. And as you know, mostly this is just transfers that are done between funds to keep this amount into the range that it's supposed to be. Any questions on any of that?
What was that percentage again? It was 25?
Yeah, so it's at 24% right now.
What's the requirement?
It has to be below 35,
35.
and I believe above 15. All right, so if you want to flip a couple more pages to page 17. So these are those business funds that I was talking about. So this is pretty much the balance sheet for all of them. As you can see towards the bottom, like I was mentioning before, this is the division of what is restricted. So what has to be used for the impact fees that are brought in on a yearly basis, and that have to be spent within that certain time frame that you have for them. And then you have your unrestricted amounts, as well as your net investment in capital assets, which yet again, like I was saying, there was a significant amount of money that was divided between all of the different funds for land that was purchased this last year. So if you flip to the next page, page 18, you'll see the income statement for all of those funds. So all of the funds brought in a net income, none of them too much, all of them within a reasonable amount of money that was brought in. Expenditures and revenue were pretty on par to what they normally are from year to year. And that's pretty much all for that one. Any questions on any of those? Okay, perfect. So towards the back, we'll just go over the last couple of reports. So page 57. So this is our internal control report. This just says that we kind of looked over controls, but we don't do a full in-depth testing of controls. We're just kind of making sure that they don't have any huge issues or anything like that. Within the controls, like I said, that there were no findings. It seems from the minimal looking through and kind of bare minimum testing we did on them, we were able to see that they're working pretty well. We did a single audit this year, which is something that I don't believe the city has either had in a long time or ever before. The single audit is done because of how much federal money came into the city. And when you have so much money come in and actually spend over $750,000 of that money, then it entails a single audit, which is pretty much a totally different audit from the financial audit, which entails much more in-depth testing of expenses that relate to that federal money and the controls that are related to the amount of money that is spent for that government money. So in here, you'll see in the first page and the next page, it kind of mentions that we also did some federal spending testing, which you'll see in a second. There is a whole extra little packet of papers that were entailed for the single audit. So if you flip 2 pages over, we have our normal state compliance report. And this one just says it lists the different things that we tested for state compliance this year. All of them passed with no issues. And then the single audit that I was talking about. So if you flip to page 65, this one talks about the federal awards that came in and the reports that were issued and any issues that we had, any findings that we had, the threshold that we were in for the amount of money that came in, and kind of a little bit of the test work that we did for that single audit. Any questions on any of that? No? Sweet. Well, then I am done.
Awesome.
I do have, everything looked clean and good. Is there any suggestions you have to improvement of our financial system? Or, I know that's not your scope.
So
but
when I was going through everything, it was easy to kind of follow where things were going in the financial statements within just like the different areas that things are posted. The controls of the supervision that the city council has over everything is going really great. And the controls that kind of are in place, like within like different areas, are really good. Like I said, it's pretty rare to have no findings at all from controls from also like state compliance and from the single audit. This is one of the only single audits that I've done this year that I actually haven't had a finding for, because of how well the controls are in place for finance, everything financial, and then also, just making sure things aren't like everything's ethically okay. So I don't really at this time have any suggestions, but if there's something that comes up next year, I'll let you know.
We're always looking to improve. We want to safeguard the community's money. They put their trust in us, and our staff do a wonderful job. I mean, as you stated at first. So kudos to them, and especially to Laurie for the job she does.
And Mayor, if you don't mind, I obviously wanted to thank Laurie and Katie for all their work on this, but also just to let the public know that this will be available on the state's website for access, and we'll work to get that on our website as well, so that, if the public has interest, you can go through that information and see kind of what the report entails and includes.
And I would encourage you all to read through it. If you don't want to read through it all, at least read pages 3 through 10, which is the management discussion and analysis. It's a very good synopsis of everything. I assume Laurie puts that together for us, or no?
Can the public request hard copies?
No.
I'm just wondering if they can, if they paid for it, I guess.
Yeah, they paid for it, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Or they could come in and look at one if they want to come and look at it, but we're just can't pass them out to everybody. Alrighty. Item 3, set the 2022 City Council meeting schedule. Laurie.
Yeah, this will be posted. It's just to see what days you guys want to meet. I have in your package just done in the past. Hope that you accept them. You can look at those.
No.
Use those, change them.
Well, we advertised it last year for just second and fourth Tuesday, and we used, I think, every one of them. Was there any that we didn't have stuff on?
I think we moved one of them, but
Yeah, we moved one. 28.
And we added some workshops as well.
Day after, that's like the Tuesday after Founder's Day. I don't think that's
I think we did
a problem.
to the following week.
Which one?
One on Founder's Day.
Yeah,
We did?
And also Christmas, it seems like.
it was.
No?
It was a.
November.
I was thinking it was November. Too.
After.
Cancel any. We actually
No,
just
we had
moved them.
to move one, but
So we met.
and one of those was necessitated by the Board of Canvas.
Was it
And
was last year that we met for the.
I don't see any 2 days after Christmas. If that's a problem, we can always cancel it. I'd just soon personally schedule them the second and fourth Tuesdays, and then if we have to add or subtract or move, we can do that.
Was Founder's Day set for the 25th then? Is that already? Okay. I don't see any concerns.
We need a motion, I guess, for that. Okay.
I'll make a motion that we set the 2022 City Council meeting schedule as planned with the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month.
Second it. I'll beat you, Sarah.
Motion by Marriott, second by Nelson. Is it Nielsen?
Nelson's fine. Yeah, Nelson.
I'd probably say it wrong half the time because all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Is that a thumbs up, Ann? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't hear her, so. All right, item 4 is discussion of possible action to consider modifying existing meter reader / utility locator position from part-time to 3/4. Amy and Tyson.
I think so. I just have flashcards all over the city. But I gave one to Councilmember Marriott today, get one off my plate.
It should be in each of your packets also. Second page from the back.
Yes, and this is just a reference point, and I know we have a new council member today, which is very exciting, so wanted to give access to this information as well. So it's no longer proposed. I just pulled the old slide, approved organizational chart for the Public Works Department. And so this action before you this evening relates to two of the positions per this approval. And so I don't know, Tyson, if you're okay if I just jump in. Sorry. Yeah. I don't mean to do that. So the first one being, I'm just going to, if it's okay, address items 4 and 5. The first one being the meter reader utility locator position, moving that from part-time to 3/4 time. And this is based on the increasing needs within the department with growth in the city. And so that's relative to that. And then the second item before you is the transition to that water and sewer utility superintendent, and having those superintendent positions formalized in the budget. And so with that, Laurie will go through kind of the budget action with this, but this is mainly the approval of these positions to allow them to be filled as per the organizational chart that was adopted.
What are the breakdowns? So the meter reader, utility locator, I mean, is there a breakdown of what they're doing on those each day? Is it more meter reading? Is it more utilities? I don't know. I'm just curious.
So the hours would be supplemental to some of that blue staking weight that's increased over the last few years, and addressing some of that, and then as well as with your auto read and helping take notes. So because of your confined space and your other duties of the inspecting, that gives your other people more time, because they would normally be out doing notes and, you know, your new services. And as that positions have evolved from just reading meters to dealing with notes, so your day-to-day new applications, setting new meters, changing out your auto read system, and that the time he gets to spend doing all of that increases with those active auto read services, because he obviously gets his meter reading done, so he's just taking up more of those day-to-day duties, so the others can focus on their maintenance duties for the wells and your PRBs and subdivisions and inspecting that are more those skilled tasks.
And Tyson, if you can clarify, but I think current practice has been that everybody's been kind of helping to support and fill in where that part-time individual can't. And with this reorganization, you know, their jobs are a little bit more clearly defined. And so this will be very specific to this individual to complete those tasks.
Yes, just start breaking that, so people are doing specialized the maintenance or focusing on maintenance, you know, the individual focusing on, you know, sort of your notes and the day-to-day deals, and then your administrative level to focus on subdivisions, code, so more of that reporting and your to the state.
I thought I'd seen in here, and I can't find it now, but I thought I saw this a half-year position. What does that mean? So what's the hours that this person will be doing?
No, that's an excellent question. So the half year is in the budget resolution, and so that's to reflect the cost of what the increase of the position is for the
January to June.
January through the end of June. Yeah, and then
Is the full year.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's going to be, if approved, kind of in perpetuity moving forward.
Good clarification. Thank
So the individual doesn't have interest in full-time, and full-time is actually more expensive for us, so it's kind of a
Need for,
For a
like,
full-time
they don't
position.
have an interest, and
Absolutely.
I know it's more expensive, but it's not something that the city needs.
They have, at this time, I think they have value that you wouldn't want to lose.
And
We can always reevaluate it and either, you know, if
It's a good question.
if we need somebody full-time, we'll just have to
Revisit.
ask him again or revisit, yeah.
Yeah, and it's,
But as long as it'll work at this rate without, like he says, it has a lot of
Right.
cost to go to the full-time. I was trying to find in here the amount that was over budget, meaning extra revenue that we got because how busy we are. It was the
Oh, no.
plan share. Yeah. and
that's a
they were-
difference in public works labor
Yeah. it's
showing.
like,
Yeah.
Wow.
No, there's definitely a need for, to draw away from what all of you guys are doing. This person doing it.
yes,
Sorry about my voice.
Mayor, I'd make a motion that we modify the existing meter reader utility location position from part-time to 3/4 time.
Second that motion.
Motion by Marriott, second by Yuri. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Item 5, which they've kind of covered, but we'll call it on the agenda, is discussion of possible action to consider approving the utility superintendent position, streets and stormwater superintendent position, and the associated wage rate. You didn't really cover this.
I didn't. So specifically, it's those two superintendent positions that don't currently exist. And again, it's to allow that upward mobility, but also to create the divisions within. And so per the organizational chart that was approved, providing that supervisory level to assist Tyson in Public Works.
That it was just explained a lot more in detail last meeting,
And I'm happy to fill in any details, or if Councilmember Nelson has any questions.
Great.
You were able to see it. Oh, good.
Awesome.
Sorry, there was, a lot of detail then, but I do have all the slides. So anyone needs them, come back. Happy to.
So the total increase in this next action is just the differences in their salaries, right? We're going from their normal work salary to a supervisor role,
Correct.
right? That's
that's
just
the difference. Yeah.
and for a half a year for the budget time.
Yes, and Laurie, in the budget presentation, will kind of go through some of it, but it's with the Public Works positions, a little bit of a complex equation because we do have the various utilities that funnel into the salary dollars for those positions. And so we're able to find a majority of the funds, which will kind of go into the detail. And I think with the next budget, we'll be working through those details as well. So any questions for Tyson or I? Sorry, Tyson, did I cut you off again?
Motion.
oh,
Sorry.
You want me to?
I can do that if you want. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the utilities superintendent position and streets and stormwater superintendent position and the associated wage ranges.
And the wage range is on the second page of that resolution.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
that's
you, Larry.
resolution A. So that is a change in the way and the ranges because we just created those, right? Gotcha. Yeah, I see.
I'll second that motion. I'm not even on. I'll second that motion.
Okay. Motion by Marriott, second by Yuri. Further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I'm sorry.
We're guessing Ann said yes.
Okay, I see thumbs up. And on the
Yes,
prior motion too, I apologize. I was blocking off the screen. Yes, okay.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, item 6 is a public hearing, discussion of possible action to consider amending the 2021-2022 fiscal year budget resolution 2022-A. And entertain a motion to go into a public hearing.
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Yuri, second by Marriott. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Okay, we're in a public hearing. Laurie, this is the last 2 pages of your packet.
So in the Public Works Department, we were missing a lot of employees throughout the year. And every employee has a different prorated amount that comes out of different funds. So I actually had to go through and see who left, when they left, who these new people are, where their money is being allocated to. And as I was going through all those different things, it was just the storm sewer fund that needed that $13,925. Some of the funds we were saving money in, but this is the one that didn't have all this movement happening. So that is the resolution. It's just to amend the storm sewer fund, add that $13,925 to it. The second page kind of breaks down what has happened to the different people. So the meter reader, utility locator, just for a half of a year, moving them from part-time to three-quarter time, it's $13,100, including salaries and benefits. And then we did include a promotion from up to a utility superintendent. And then with the creation of the streets and storm sewer superintendent position, the original was just an O&M 1, so that's going from an O&M 1 up to a supervision range. And that's $11,410 for a half of a year. And that's yet to be filled also. But that's the fast.
So this, when you were figuring all that, like all the overtime and stuff, because I'm assuming there was overtime on the other people as well, and so that's kind of all accounted for in here. This is just the differences.
We were just trying to make sure every fund had enough money to handle these changes. And it was just the storm sewer fund that didn't have the money to handle it.
Okay.
And for Phil's benefit, who hasn't been through a budget process yet, it was even confusing to me, and I've been government for 40 plus years, and so we take money out of each of those different funds that we just went through to fund a position, so that each fund is paying their fair share and not taking it all out of the general funds.
Yeah, and that's the question. I mean, the default is the general fund is the one that will move it to the other funds. But
they each get their own funding too from like
yeah. But in this case, so this would be coming from the general fund.
Now this one will be coming from we're modifying the storm sewer.
The revenue from the storm sewer. We're just going to put it into the budget now.
Increase, okay.
Some excess there.
When I'm doing the math here, so I'm assuming then, last year we're increasing it by $13,925. I'm assuming that we had a surplus of some kind, and so it's offsetting some of the additional.
What happened with all these employees in the public works? Their salaries are coming out of all these enterprise funds, the water, garbage, sewer. So one person may have 50% of their salary coming out of water, 0 from storm sewer, 10 from garbage. And so when I was going through trying to figure out who's left and all these new positions, it was just the storm sewer that needed money. But there is excess probably in the water and all these other ones, but it's just the storm sewer. And a lot of money is coming from the revenue.
The storm sewer has a balance of $8,207,000. Now most of that's restricted because or $6 million of it's restricted because it's impact fees and that kind of stuff.
Probably a lot of it.
A lot of it's impact.
Makes sense.
Restricted for what you can spend it on.
But that's
and a lot of
development stuff.
the
There's
excess.
O&M in every one of them.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
That's okay.
I talk over the mayor a lot. No. But we've pretty much consistently had 2 unfilled positions, if not more, throughout the entirety of the year in that department. So that's
So when you take it though, when we took it from that fund, as we move into a new budget year, we'll just reallocate the funds so that it will compensate.
She's working on that.
Right.
Because the org chart we approved last year last week last year.
meeting.
It was last year,
meeting.
yeah.
Should clean that up a little bit instead of
Right.
here, and here. It'll be here and here for one position.
Right.
I'm hoping it is a little easier for us to digest when it's budget
Oh,
time.
when
And
it's all
she's
coming-
working
yeah.
on that.
As long as, obviously, since we just had an amazing audit, coming from all the enterprise funds and whatever is totally legit and compensates for where it needs to compensate.
Right.
Oh,
Yep.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we close the public
Let me
hearing.
ask the public. Is there any members of the public that wish to address this?
So you're going part-time to 3/4. That's an extra 13 grand, right? For 6 months? So it's going to be 26,000 a year next year. And then we're going 25,000 for each. Is this the 11,410? Is that for both those superintendents combined? Or?
So the other two positions, we really don't have an exact amount yet because it'll depend on who the hires are and where they fall into the range. So right now we're trying to kind of anticipate for mid-range pays, but we don't quite know where that's going to land.
So
and
are the
and
hires being hired within, or are you posting them?
I think we're going to be posting them, but the hope is to bring in some internal hires for that upward mobility.
I totally agree with the internal hires. They should have been raised when they were down 4 people for the last 2 years. Their pay should have just jumped up. So my question on the meter reader notes, because all I kept hearing was notes. Awesome. So when he's taking notes, can't he write down how many times he's been, how many hours he's dedicated to blue stakes? So you actually know. Because when you're spending money like that and they're out there doing notes or they're doing blue stakes, there's a difference in where pay comes from. You're taking money out of all these funds. There's a blue stakes fund and there's another fund. You know what I mean? So if he's taking notes, he can write, I spent 3 hours doing blue stakes. I did the notes for 4 hours, whatever it is. What's the cost on that to contract out as well? Would we save money contracting that out, or do we save money just hiring it in-house? I don't know if that's ever been looked at.
And we haven't evaluated that at this time. So
We're
We're gonna increase it 13,000.
contracting what out?
Blue stakes.
Okay.
Because you're gonna go meter reader and blue stakes. Like, how much is that just to contract out? That's what I meant. Because you're gonna increasing it by $26,000, whatever they're making right now, plus an additional. So it's probably gonna be 50 grand a year. So I'm just wondering.
and it's not all in salary. That this position is semi-benefited, so that's
Okay, but this was just salary, right? 13,000.
that's with benefits too.
All right.
Sorry for the.
Any other members of the public? Seeing none, I'll entertain your motion now.
Yeah, Mayor, I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Merritt, second by Uri to close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Brings it back to the council. Any questions, comments, or concerns from the council? Bill, you look like you're about to say something.
No, well, I'm just wondering, I mean, having not been in here, it sounds like the rest of the country is also having a hiring problem. And what are the prospects of finding somebody to fill these? Or do we contract out? I mean, contracting out's probably faster, but it just depends on what the current need is.
And that's a
Won't know
really
until we try.
Yeah, great question. I think we haven't looked a lot at the contracting option, but we have explored a little bit. We have an internal committee that we're actually focusing in on HR and hiring practices and kind of making some of our positions more lucrative. I know Tyson's worked really hard to keep his positions filled, but it's been kind of an uphill battle with the national climate, and then also just we're hoping this organizational changes will help provide some things. So I think that's a really fair question and something we will continue to look at. I mean, even I think Larry had a really innovative idea, with snow plowing, maybe we explore contracting that out with people that do construction and things during the summer months or.
Just to comment on that, sometimes it could possibly be cheaper to contract out, but then you lose a lot of the quality of the services and the immediate, benefits of response and timing and things like that. Just a consideration.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and we would never jump to that without vetting it fully. And
Yeah, Mayor, I foresee we're going to have a hard time hiring people for at least this year and probably well into future years. But and we're going to have to address the budget for that. I mean, I'm sure salaries are going to likely have to increase for us to do that. So it's things we need to look at. But
Yeah, see, when I look at this, I see that as not enough. I mean, I was surprised how low it was. I wasn't surprised how high it was, just knowing how hard it is to hire. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think a benefit of these supervisors is I think the management of the people, and well, I think we're going to see a benefit in efficiencies because of that. That's, I don't know, Tyson, maybe you have thoughts on that, but I think overall that's definitely going to improve that way. So
That's the goal, is if you have those people to directly focus on the things that are specific, to keep things like that moving. So like snow plowing, contracting out everywhere. They've tried it. It's crashed and burned in cities because of that response time and expectations, and just public safety in general. Blue staking, those are all things with your administration built out to focus on those individual departments and those needs, and kind of keep those specifics rolling, and get into policy and pay raises more specific to, what is the health of public works and that department, and how broke down it gets, and so different in every city, and what utility doesn't exist in one you have in the other, and all of that should help streamline those processes and move those ideas along more efficiently.
I've got a couple clients that do snow removal, and I think contracting it out, knowing what they bill, would be extremely expensive, to the city. So obviously in-house, but I also know, working for the state, I think my pay raise was 2% this year, which with inflation is a 6% loss, and so I just don't know how competitive we're going to be in hiring. That's my only concern, but that's...
Well, this whole new structure is hopefully helping to fix that. So that's what we've faced. Like you said, we've down 2 people last year, almost the entire year. So we said, well, okay, what do we got to do to kind of reorg things? So
certainly more to do though. So,
and just to piggyback off of what Phil and Dave said, I think as the budget comes, we really need to reevaluate, be able to retain our employees in-house and compensate them adequately.
Yeah, absolutely. And retention and recruitment are a major focus. And I have to say, and I've had conversations with Tyson, but the work that their crews do is critical, and life and safety and security in providing water and other infrastructure, but also safe roads and different things like that. And so, kudos to what they do and what they've done for this past year, short-staffed, frankly. Just, phenomenal work considering, and hopefully, these steps forward will continue to help their department, because they sure do a lot for us.
all right, let's bring it back down to the resolution if we can.
I'll make a motion that we consider, or that we amend the 2021-2022 fiscal budget resolution 2022A.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Merritt, second by Nelson. Roll call vote. Arrington.
She froze.
Yes.
He froze. Let's Skipper come back.
Texas.
Gibson is absent. Marriott?
Okay. There she is.
Okay. Harrington's yes. Gibson's absent. Marriott?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Yuri?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Item 7 is a closed meeting. Do we need a closed meeting?
I don't have any items for a closed meeting this evening.
And we'll start then real quickly with other business. Chief?
Thank you. I welcome our new councilman, Nelson, by the way, Phil Nelson. Last month, the police department handled 686 calls for service. 50 traffic citations were issued and 8 arrests were made. As part of this activity, we solved 2 pretty high profile felony cases. We had an individual who was going around for the last few months stealing catalytic converters off vehicles, doing it in the industrial area of the city. And some of them were even taken out of Weber High School during the day, where he would pull in next to an occupied vehicle, crawl under the vehicle, cut off the converter, slide back out into his car. And a number of these places in the city, we had a couple of them that we got on video. And that person was identified as a local resident and arrested for numerous thefts. And as not only the catalytic thefts, but he was also questioned on some car burglaries where some tools and trailer hitches were taken. And he confessed to those also. So we cleared up quite a few cases with this individual, and good work for our detectives and Sergeant Talbot. And he was a Pleasant View resident, yes. The family even has a business in the city. I won't give any more clues than that. But also, in a DUI arrest last month, an individual, and I think I could comment on this once, but I have more follow-up on it. An individual that was arrested for DUI in the city, loaded firearm was found in the vehicle. And at the time of the arrest, he was arrested for the DUI. The firearm was traced back to a theft out of Farmington, where the gun was taken out of a burglary in Farmington. And we charged him with that. And then Unified Police Department in Salt Lake, we got them involved, or they got us involved, I'm not sure which, and found out that vehicle was used in a robbery in the Holiday area of Salt Lake. And the weapon was actually fired at the victim when the victim was following the suspect after he had been robbed. And 2 bullets entered the car. And so we interviewed him along with Unified Police detectives, and he's looking at several felonies, and we'll spend some jail time on that. So even though Pleasant View has their bad guys floating around, they're not always from Pleasant View, but we get our share. That's some of the high-profile cases. I won't go into a lot of the smaller ones. Our new hires are all up and going and trained and completed their field training and on their own, and they're doing excellent. We're happy to get them going. And our animal control code enforcement position that was approved a month or so ago, that hire's been made, and she's in training now with Ogden City Animal Control this week, and we'll do some training out of Salt Lake. So we're very excited to have her
Bessie.
here. She's done will do an outstanding job, I'm sure. Also something I would like to do, and I don't think I'll get any kickback on this. Our school resources have been doing excellent up at Weaver High School. And when he comes in every week with his bag of paraphernalia that he collects from the high school along with the rest and different things, it just amazes me as he walks by my office. He'll hold up his gallon bag of drug and tobacco and alcohol paraphernalia. And at some point in the next month or two, I'd like to have him come in with some of that paraphernalia and show the city council and a little bit what's going on at our high school. I think it'll amaze you, if not shock you, of what's going on. And Ron Van Beekum does an outstanding job at that and other duties we have him doing. So I'll try to line that up for a council meeting maybe in February or March and have him come and do that.
Ron's the resource officer?
Yes. He's been there about, I think, 3 years now.
Yeah, he does a really excellent job.
Yeah, he does good. He relates to the kids really well. He's kind of firm but fair. And the principal up there, Chris,
Ernest.
she gets with me every year and makes sure Ron's going to come back. She's not about to wheel and deal with Ron at her school. She's kind of no nonsense too. And so
When talking with my daughter, the kids have the utmost respect for him. And they really, really love him. Sorry.
yeah, Ron's a tough old bird. Back in his Ogden days, I was South Ogden, he was Ogden. We know each other forever. And Ron's old school, I'm old school, but he knows how to take care of things, and he does it in a very good way.
I did see him get hit by a wide receiver on the sidelines of the state playoff game, so I was wondering if he was okay.
Yeah, he's kind of wimpy getting hit by football players.
Yeah. I know. I saw that.
Yeah, it hit flattened him, a poor guy. But other than that, unless there's any questions, that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Tyson.
Bryce Grimes started with the utilities this Monday, so he's one of the newest, the new O&M, coming off of COVID, so it delayed it for a minute, but he's here now, and just getting all the new people settled in and getting them going and prepping for plow, and hopefully the snow comes again. Jimmy, he got back from his COVID, the mechanic, and found 2 splits in the two plows that have been in question that I've held on to because of all the COVID delays for parts and not knowing what trucks are going down. Plowing's obviously hard on any piece of equipment, so those 2 have split and will most likely be out of service due to the cost and their age, and they were going to be surplused, and they definitely served their purpose for an extended year that we've had them. So still waiting for the other new one, and for to take people on ride-alongs if that's something you're interested in. Hopefully we'll get another few snowstorms.
Hope so.
Back to that sort of what it did last year where it tapered off, and obviously watching that for the water issues that can bring again. So we're into reporting and just getting trucks cleaned up and ready while we have our break in the middle, just tuning them up and getting ready for the annual report.
I hope it snows like heck in February. It looks like January is going to be a bust, the rest of it, but we really need.
Are springs flowing now, or we're not pumping water anymore, right?
You don't see the increases, and usually likely February, March, depending on how the melt in the winter goes.
In the springtime again, can you take us on a tour of the water again, maybe for Phil's benefit, so we can see where all the like what you did with us last time?
Absolutely. No, I think that's a great benefit to understand. And
Amy probably hasn't.
I would love to go again.
I said Amy probably hasn't been on that tour unless she took her.
But I think we should do it again. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'll set up a time and go up with the utilities and
be great.
Some of those sites
And maybe the plans
to keep them running. So
for 1,000, also that property and all of that.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Amy.
Okay, I do have something.
Huh?
So our transportation, I'm sure Steve is going to be so sad he missed tonight. Our transportation master plan group had our first meeting, and we have been working with our consultants. Screen share for Anne's benefit.
Who are the consultants again?
Parametrics. Maybe. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh, I'm gonna zoom in. We will see it.
You sent us an email about.
I did send an email with an attachment as well. But this is the locations where they'll be doing the traffic studies and the counts and the intersections. And so one of the things with the study that they're doing, they've already kind of hit the ground running. So they've put together, and I'm going to pull this up as well, so long as I don't have any hiccups. I know there were kind of some hiccups earlier. Landing page, also sent this out to you for feedback, just kind of showing where the project is, the existing conditions analysis. This is a really fun, not fun, but interesting map that shows some of the different areas where we have some risks and some hazards with regards to vehicle crashes.
I'd imagine what that
with the big yellow dot is. Mm-hmm. And so kind of based on this data, they put together the proposal of the 10 locations, but we've gotten some feedback from you all prior. And then in talking with staff internally, okay, let me see if I can go back. Oh, shoot. Where did it go? with talking with staff internally, have some recommendations. And so I have a larger map here for you all to look at as well before you leave, if you have any feedback and wanted to look at that. But these are the locations that are proposed. And Mayor, I did get some more information about the location up here. So there's kind of this northern location off of 4300, I think. And the reasoning for this is not only to give the northern quadrant of the city some analysis, but also to give us some baseline analysis if North Ogden eventually does tap into this roadway, to know what the difference and flow would be with that. And then obviously with the future of our Skyline Drive project, some impact there. And so with that, it was interesting because the consultants had recommended here, which is the big yellow hot spot, but we actually are recommending eliminating that spot. And so that's the intersection of Highway 89 and 2700. And the reasoning being is both roads are UDOT roadways. And so we really don't have a lot of impact on controlling how that is. We can work with UDOT. We have worked with UDOT, have provided them with accident data, but they're really, it's not in our wheelhouse to plan the transportation in that specific intersection. And so that was moved to that northern quadrant. There's just kind of sites throughout the various major corridors of the city included on this, and love to get your feedback on that. I would like to get back to the consultants this week if possible, to get them those locations.
Paid for 10 locations, correct?
We paid for 10. If there's a desire for more, we could ask them how much more and try to negotiate some additional pricing for more locations for that analysis. But
Amy,
can you hear me?
2550 completely? Is that?
Yeah.
It's not Harrisville at all. It's ours.
Harrisville ends at the south.
Yeah, I would think along 2550, we definitely need to have some type of evaluation there.
yeah, so I
Is that what the
think,
green
yeah,
dot is?
this is I'm sorry, I should have gone through the key. The green is what is being proposed by staff, and so it's actually moving this location here. This one, because it's kind of in the trailer community and doesn't really have a lot going on right now. Or excuse me, that's not the trailer community. That's over here. That's the movement there. But it's really on the outskirts of the city. We felt.
Yeah, we can't affect that one anyway, right? It's
We moved it up
UDOT and
to
Harrisville.
recommend they moved it up to 600 west and 2550 north.
Yeah.
And then again, we will keep working with UDOT. We asked them a few months ago to please reevaluate that intersection at 2789 because there are a lot of accidents and there are severe accidents. And
the police department got us the data
Yeah.
to provide them, and I'm happy because I followed up a couple of times. But I'm happy to follow up again and just ask if
really
there's-
like to see something like they have up in Willard there on that where it starts flashing to alert you that you need to stop.
Yeah. Has it changed?
Only
I mean,
ask.
the intersection was improved significantly, what, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago? Has it been that long? I don't know.
No, I'm not sure. It's really
Has anything changed? I mean, if we look statistically, have things changed? Because it was widened and all sorts of stuff changed there. 2 lanes, turning lanes, and
Yeah, and there's some temporary turning lanes on the outskirts of the intersection, but I think to the public comment earlier, with the growth, the number of accidents is not being reduced.
people are just. I don't know why they're not seeing those big. Lights and everything, and they're just right through and
Are
smack.
most of them failure to yield and
Yes.
turning in front of a vehicle on the street?
And they're turning right in front of somebody, or turning thinking they're going to stop, or
Flashing lights.
well, that's
They could do
We've asked you not to do a full
single left turn lane. Lights. Oh my goodness. But yeah, we've asked them to do a study because we really, unfortunately, don't have a lot of
But we'll get
control or
we'll keep-
jurisdiction.
That's not the focus of this. So.
Before it even had lights, that's where my grandmother was killed.
I'm sorry.
Tom Budge. Remember this?
Anyway, if you got any ideas or whatever, I
Yeah.
think we've identified 10.
Yep, so the,
Moved a couple around to keep it in the 10, but
Just for my information, the one that's up all the way at the top up there, 4,200.
yes,
I don't know. Why is that a particular?
that's the one that we want to get a benchmark. So if 1,4,300 does go through to North Ogden, we
yeah, punches through to North Ogden, then we understand.
impact too.
And to just to have something in the upper quadrant of the city, because otherwise it kind of eliminates,
there.
yeah, with the study, we want to.
Well, even after the area above that is developed in a cluster way or whatever else, it will definitely have an impact
Yeah.
on that area in 43.
Yeah, it gives us a great baseline. That's a great question.
I don't know what that's really serving there. So, yep. Okay. Any got any recommendations? Get them to Amy really quickly. So,
Yes, please.
hey, anything else, Amy?
That's all I have this evening.
Okay, Laurie? Ann?
I don't think my audio's working.
You
She
have it?
texted me. Do you want me to give it for her?
Sure.
You want to go to Phil first or you or?
Well, sure. We can go to Phil first.
All right, so just a little update on our pickleball ramp application. We've reached out to several different community leaders, political leaders, business owners, and what have you to get letters of recommendation. And we've received a ton of support from, all the way from the president of the Chamber of Commerce to principals to, business owners and representatives, and just a huge amount of support and a lot of business leaders stepping up to do donations in kind. So we're submitting our ramp application tomorrow.
I
or
think it'll
Thursday.
be Thursday.
And we're requesting quite a bit. We feel very confident because of the support and the backing we have with the community and the amount of funds we've, with our spreadsheet, we've collected about $50,000-$60,000 and something like that. And we have pledged amounts almost up to 100,000 plus. So, and with our donations in kind, that would even go higher. So we feel really confident about pickleball, and we're really excited about the direction that it's going. So,
Okay.
There's that.
That it? Was that yours or Ann's?
Well, I'm on it with her, so. Yeah, I can't think of anything except for legislative, local representatives day that next week. A lot of you city council signed up to go, and mayor's going. No, I thought you were.
I thought you were going.
Next week?
Oh, you're out next week.
Oh dear. Oh well. Anyway, Cindy's going, Amy's going.
Oh, I knew that you weren't. I'm sorry, Mayor.
It'll be
If anyone
fun.
else wants to go, we've got another.
Just, it's, yeah. Yeah, no, excuse me, this is,
Local officials
Local
day.
Well, it is
Down
through
at the
the city
legislature,
League of
but it
Cities
is
and
through the
Council.
UTLC.
They coordinate it.
Utah League of
It's
Cities.
at the
ULCT.
well, it's several buildings actually where they do it, but basically at the Capitol.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's when Mary is thinking about going.
Sorry, I'm missing it, but
that's all I got
Let me know.
for now.
all righty. Is that it? Dave?
Just want to give you an update on the fiber committee. We took a few weeks off. Feels like a few weeks, but hasn't been all that long. But we did meet again, following up on the recommendations to kind of vet out some of the cities closer by that have done. I just went blank on the what is that called? Franchise agreement. I can't remember my franchise agreements. So anyway, we met with a couple of different companies with that, and we're going forward with looking at the franchise agreement that we can discuss as a council, and we likely will have something next council meeting to discuss on that. So positive stuff going on there.
Excellent. Okay. All right. The only thing I have is just, you're probably wondering, I figured we'd wait till Ann and Steve are back home with us to go over our assignments and redo those for
That'd be good. Yeah.
coming year. Usually in January or February, we have a work session on a Saturday to just kind of plan, planning session, what we want to see, try to accomplish in the next year and that, and we haven't planned that yet. I'm going to guess we'll probably look at sometime in February, the 12th or the 19th, or whatever you guys want to plan. We'll wait till they're back in the house again, so we'll revisit that on the 25th and see what we can pull together. And if we can do it tonight, and don't have to be a Saturday morning, but it'd be nice to get one planned and do that. So,
24.
Huh?
In the wrong year.
January
Yeah,
25th.
no, sorry, he was saying saying February.
Yeah, so on the 25th, we'll try to nail that down.
Okay.
Other than that, if that's everything, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.